Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Doc Bookshop. I am so excited because today we have a wonderful author here. Her name is Trevilia Hodge, and she has a new release called The Baby Elephant with the Blue Balloon. And she's going to be in conversation with Javon, and so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Javon.
Hello, thank you so much. We are here and we are live at the Doc Shop, an amazing bookstore, Black owned, Black operated. There is such greatness in this room, and it is a privilege to be here today with the incredible author of The Baby Elephant with the Blue Balloon, a symbol of love, Miss Trevilia Hodge. How are you doing, Miss Trevilia?
I'm really great. I'm good.
Hear that applause? That's for you, boo. What an amazing situation, an amazing book. I want to dive into so much of this because I know they're going to say, hey, this is a children's book. It's just, maybe 10 pages. 26 pages because, back and forth. You get one and then two.
Okay.
And then 23.
Right.
24, 25, because I learned to count in those 10 years of college.
Yes, you did.
So, but The Baby Elephant with the Blue Balloon, a symbol of love, it takes a lot to write a book. And it takes a lot to get the book illustrated. It takes a lot to get the book published. Why was it important to you to release this project?
Okay. That question is great. Or I'm going to say amazing because that's your word for today. I love that for you.
It's my favorite word.
So it's dedicated to my son Zion, who's not here with us. So that's one. That was the first. That was my focal point, initially. And then, if anyone writes, whether a journal, personal, or if it is a book, your focal point can then change throughout the process. So. I went on a very long healing journey about losing my son, and I wanted to share with people insight to heal in love and to live that love out, even in the midst of pain and sorrow. So it's a tribute to those families who may have to deal with that, but I think it's done in such a brilliant way because the illustrations are so welcoming and gives you opportunity to talk about a subject that may be hard. And for some, it could be devastating. And for some, it could just be so traumatic that you don't want to talk about it. And that was my story. But I didn't want the book to reflect my story. I wanted the book to be a story where everyone in different facets of life could relate to it. Hopefully, that translates that way. It's always the reader who gets to discover what it means to them. So I was purposeful in that, where a lot of people will want to give you something and you have to see it out how they wrote it. But with this, it gives you opportunity to talk about where you are and how you want to articulate what your story is. So that is where the creative process came from in the book.
Nice. You open it up to allow me to ask you anything.
Yeah.
And which is dangerous to do for me.
I'm very nervous about it.
So I do want to ask about Zion. Do you remember the day that you found out that Zion was living inside?
I do.
Tell us about it.
That was a great day. It was a mixed emotion type of day, right? We all have that. Whether that's something that you discover something new going on with your life, no matter who you are, right? I don't want to just bring it to like one person, but no matter who you are, you find out something new is going on in your life and you just come up with mixed emotions. There was excitement. There was like, I can't believe this is happening. There was, I don't know if I can do this. It was a surprise. So yeah, there was a lot going on inside me at that time.
And so you find out that you're pregnant, and
right.
Was Zion the first name that you came up with, boy or girl, was going to be Zion?
Oh yeah, definitely. Only because, okay, so I am an empath, and I love that about me. I've been like that since I was 8 years old. And so what ended up happening when I was 15, I saw in my meditation time prayer that there was this little girl that would be coming. And she wasn't my little girl, but she was someone else's little girl. And I told her mother at 15, I was like, you're going to have a daughter. If you don't want to have a child this earlier on, that you know, I'm just letting you know that she'll be here in 2 years. And she was born. So when I had this moment for myself, a few years later, that I would have a son one day. And I was told in that time the name of the child. So I knew emphatically, because the girl is here. She's 31 years old now. I helped raise her, you know, and which was a pleasure. And so I knew very much so.
It was easy for me. I have 3 children. Javon Jr., Bond. Very easy. When you went with Zion,
You tried to give those kids to me.
I did, and I still try to get rid of them every day. Shout out to you guys. Hope you're watching.
God bless you.
But the price value has gone up a little bit. But did you want to do anything special with like ZYONE with an accent somewhere, like, or was it
Absolutely
just
not.
nothing for the culture?
No. I love y'all though. I'm here for the culture. But absolutely not. It was traditional, spell 4 letters, and we're done. That's it. It's real easy for me.
So here you are and you're carrying Zion. Do you remember the day where you found out that you weren't going to be able to be viable?
Ooh, that's a tough topic to discuss. You have me stuck. I do. And so, to keep it light and beautiful on this wonderful Mother's Day weekend, I will make an announcement at the end. I don't want to give it away yet, but I do talk about the story in totality. Yeah, I do. It's heartbreaking to me, and it was not a great day. Let's just say that. So, and it stayed with me for 20 years. And losing him, I kept it a secret for 20 years. Until one day, I decided that I can't let this haunt me anymore. And I don't need to be ashamed or guilty. I believe, like, when parents, whether it's a woman or a man, you have parental guilt, right, with the child. And there's this other guilt when you lose a child that is like so unexplainable to me. Your child could be in a space where something happened to them, you know, but you feel responsible because this life gave you more meaning, even if it was in you for a short period of time. That's how I feel, you know. And so for 20 years, almost 21, I didn't tell anybody about that day because I was able to cover it up for a number of reasons. And then I got brave and said, okay, girl, you know, the pandemic was here. We don't know what's going to happen during this pandemic. And I needed to make resolve with myself so no matter what happened, even if I wasn't going to make it through the pandemic, because I got really sick during the pandemic, yeah, even though some people didn't believe how sick I was, but it was bad. And I was like, if you're going to make peace with this earth, then you want to make sure that you're resolved with all of the things. And I wasn't resolved with that. So I remember it was Mother's Day 2021. I asked 3 people to come with me. One wasn't able to make it because she had something going on, but my good friend Kim, who's here, and her beautiful sister Tara went out with me to a lake, Mammy Lake, right? Yeah. And we released balloons for him. And it was the first time that I allowed myself to no longer live in imposter syndrome and allowed myself to living the love and the healing that I felt I deserved for my life, and to then unpack the story after that, because I wasn't, it was like just the beginning. So I wasn't, we didn't unpack it that day. It was the first step to accepting that healing was available to me, however that looked like. And so I say, it's something that's getting ready to come out. I'm not going to spill the beans yet. It's not time. But I say that I honor these two women because they allowed me to show up that day for myself. Like, they did not allow me to put the focal point on something else, which I can do because I love to serve people and I love people. And that brings me great joy. So I know it's not something that I don't like, but they allowed me to be present and be center stage, which was very difficult even after that day. But it gave me a opportunity to let go of some things that I had held on for so long, and it gave me my imagination back. So I'm a creator, and I love to create. Not only that, it gave me a piece back about motherhood, because we mother in all facets. I've mothered for many years, and it doesn't mean that you have to mother or parent, even being a father, to just your own child. So I was awarded the opportunity to do that, and I believe I did it well. Um, and so this gave me the opportunity for, like, that little girl that didn't want to come out and play anymore. The young woman who just was ashamed and was like, we just need to keep this, and we're going to take this to the grave, right? And if I was going to be true to who I am, which I believe I'm a person that I'm a generational starter of my family, I had to allow the silence that was really deafening to me to cease. And so for the next year, I went through intense therapy, sometimes twice a week. And I'm glad I did that. It was wonderful. I have a relationship with who I call God. That's who I serve. But I needed therapy, and wisdom tells you to do that. And I believe that the all-knowing God is wisdom. And I went to therapy. I needed it, and I did all of the hard work. Um, and so after that, and dealing with some other things, I needed to find an avenue to identify myself as this child's mother. And so I first got a tattoo. So I have a huge tattoo on my arm. It doesn't look like the cover elephant, and Kim helped me in that too. We back and forth. I think it was elephant. I think she did elephant, and we went back and forth with the elephants, and that was the first step. And then I did an elephant with a blue balloon because I'm a Cowboys fan. Respect it. If y'all come off the live, I apologize, but I don't. Some Cowboys to life, for like, even as bad as they are right now. But anyway, so I have a blue balloon on my arm with an elephant, and it has a Z in it for his name. And that was that November of 2021. And once I started acknowledging him and talking to him and things that I had never done before, I needed to grow in my healing. I needed to understand who I was. And because I had never accepted that part of me, I didn't know. So it was a wonderful journey. It was very beautiful to see her, to see that aspect of me. And when I showed up, it was like, we're going to make a children's book for families to be able to have the conversation, because people need to talk. They do. They need to talk. They need to have community. I'm very grateful for my community because I have a beautiful community. Not everybody has that, but if you don't, I hope you find it. Be safe in who you let things out to. So so that was a beautiful aspect. And then I began the journey with the book and decided that I wanted the elephant family to be beautiful and happy. So I didn't even give them a last name. So then you can give your the elephant family whatever last name you want to give it. So I just call it a happy crew. And the expectation that they had to have this new life come. And then when it didn't, I utilized the blue balloon as a symbol of love to walk them through that your child is always with you. And that is something that you can glean to. That could be your focal point. You know, if you see a balloon in the sky, if you want to let a balloon go in the sky, we do that a lot as tributes, right? When people pass on. And it's such a simple way, but love is simple to me. People make it complex. And so I made sure that the book stayed within the parameters of the 26 to 36 pages. One, because it's a tough subject, but also, again, to give people the opportunity to talk. Because, like, we released the balloons that day, but the work started after that. So maybe someone will read the book and allow the work to start after that, because you're worth the work. You know, you're worth it. If anybody needs to work on anything in their life, you're worth the work. And it can get hard. And my therapist asked me the other day, like, would you do this journey again? And if I knew what I had to go through to do the journey, absolutely not. But that's what healing is. You don't know what it's going to look like for you. I didn't know it was going to look like what it looked like, but I'm glad I did it. But if someone told me what it was going to look like beforehand, absolutely not. It was so jarring. And then a lot of things came up. But I kept telling myself, who will you be on the other side of this? And I wanted to meet her. And so you get to meet her. I'm Zion's mom.
I think it's great as an interviewer to ask a question, and when the person is answering, the next question that's in your head is being answered.
Okay.
And so you are a great person to interview. Like,
thank you. I'm amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Oh my
I know.
Who knew? We did. That's why we're here. So with this book, you talk about the balloon given to the child upon hearing that he won't be getting the sibling, and that's what he was able to kind of put his his attention on.
Yeah.
What was the balloon for you? What did you give yourself as a focal point to help you deal with the healing, or to go through the journey of healing?
Well, I never worry about what people think about me, right? Ever. But when it comes to a child, you worry about what they think about you, right? You want to make a good impression. That's like those are the only people I want to make a lasting impression with is a child. I don't know why. It's just how my brain works. So when I thought about my son and I could now articulate that, right? It took a long time for me to articulate that.
So when Zion passed, you didn't have like a baby elephant or something?
None of it. It all happened after 2021. None of that. I said that day, I don't know if Kim remembers that I felt like I stood over a phantom grave for 20 years. I literally said that. But I kept the secret too because it was like almost the only thing I had of him. So
one thing you had of him was the thought of him,
right? And I didn't want to share it. And that happens. You know, I didn't want to share it. I didn't want to. But then the shame also was the other side. So I was battling those two emotions and those two. Sometimes I could even say they were like demons because of the how it kept me, you know, in a capsule almost. But so no, I didn't have any of that as a focal point. But in 2021, I asked myself, do I think my son would be proud of me of who I have become? Absolutely. But he could have been prouder of me. And so, you know, I wanted to do that, and then also I didn't want to leave this earth without giving all the love I could give out. And I really feel like I wasn't giving, even though I'm a very giving person, um, I'm a very selfless person. I don't feel as though I was really loving to my capacity because of the things that I had. And then that wasn't fair to me, because then it's like, again, who would I see on the other side of my healing? Who would I see on the other side of having this moment and being true to myself and being brave and being courageous? And because again, if I really didn't care what people say, then I can start talking about it and let them, you know. But then the person who I am in the book, you'll see this, you know, how I feel about children. I am very careful with how I articulated this book, because their little hearts are very, very precious. And so, if a family's reading it to their children, or a child's reading it by themselves, it's very important to me that it translates in a way where they still feel safe even having the conversation. That's extremely important to me.
Elephants.
Yes.
Why elephants?
I'm absolutely obsessed with elephants.
And you write it in the book about why elephants, but I need to hear the words. Help me understand elephants.
I'm obsessed with them.
Teach me about elephants.
I can't. We'll be here all night. It's ridiculous. But I'm obsessed with elephants. Like, they're everywhere in my house.
Since when? Since I
was a kid. Since I read Babar. Babar was that guy for me. As a kid, books were my escape. As a kid, I used to hide in my grandmother's linen closet and read books. Like, all kind of books. I should have been reading some of them because they were a little traumatic. My aunt went to Howard University, and she loved books. And so my aunt was really brilliant. And I loved that about her. So I would go in a linen closet in the bathroom, and I would just be in there reading books.
Were you reading Harlequin books? Why
No, she had a lot of, you know why? Because the books were in the closet, and I was a kid, so I didn't realize just take the book out and just go into the family room and read. I was a kid. Like, it was like, this was my little world. I could escape. You know, you do what kids do. Like, I was straight up like, oh, this is amazing. I'm going to go read this book before the Mayflower. I had no business reading that at 9 years old. But I read it.
Before the Mayflower?
Yes. Like, I was reading about slavery and Black history and Langston Hughes and North, all the people. I'm about to mess her name up because I'm excited, because I love books. And so I used to be in there reading whatever my eye had in there. And I was like, oh my gosh, that really happened? And yeah, so I read really fast. I still read a lot of books today. But yeah, I was obsessed with book reading. But then elephants, you know, as a kid, I remember how they just made me happy. They made me feel like, even though they were huge, I wasn't scared of an elephant. Like, an elephant is not going to do anything to me. They're my friend. They remember me no matter where I go in the world. And so, like, I have an elephant. I don't know if she's still alive, but her name is Beulah. And she's in Connecticut. So shout out to the people who take care of Beulah. And even when I would go see her, she will always remember me.
Wow. Have you pet an elephant before?
I rode an elephant. I did. And I have a picture of it because it was a birthday gift. I don't recommend that, people. I wasn't knowledgeable at the time, but it was a gift, and they took me to ride. That's how I met Beulah. She was the first elephant and the last that I rode, and we had a real good connection, and she just loved me. And I was like, Beulah, you're so nice, and she loved that I rode. Like, she didn't like other people riding her, but we were one. We were. That's my girl.
So when this book becomes a New York Times bestseller, you have all of this money, will we be buying an elephant?
We will be going to Thailand, and we will be donating to an elephant conservation, because there's a preserve here in Fredericksburg, Texas, and I've reached out to them already, and their donations are to teach people about the preserve. So they said, we can give you information of the proper way to go if you want to donate on a big scale. So 2 of my donations would be to help people if they would like, depending on the numbers. One of my goals is to help people if they would like to try to have a child, or if they're adopting a child. By the end of this year, I would love to be able to partner and help a family or more. And then I will be going to Thailand to properly give to elephant conservation over there. It may be Africa eventually, but they're helping me learn the avenues of where to go so I can do it correctly. But then I'll be there to help and clean the elephants and feed them and do all the things, which you could do here in Texas as well at the preserve. Shout out to them. You can do that for the day for a few hours, but like I want to be there for like, maybe a week or two and just do what I gotta do. Yeah. I'm not gonna ride them though.
Not gonna ride no more.
No, never. But I will take care of them and do that. That is a real like a goal. Like I'll be one of those people, a multimillionaire, and leave my money to an elephant. Like legit. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, people will leave money to, like a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I know somebody like that. That plans on leaving all their money to their dog.
Absolutely.
A-B.
Absolutely.
Unreal.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
And I see that. I see you doing that. Now, if I name one of my children Big Bar, can we maybe get some of that money? Think about it. Don't answer now. Don't worry about it. Think about it. So this book.
Yes.
This book, In Memory of Zion, My Heart Belongs to You, Love Mom.
Yeah.
You have a note to parents in here. And again, I know that we can read what your note is saying, but can you just give us an idea, using your voice to share with us, what is your note to parents as they purchase this?
So to elaborate on it, and just to parents, that you are a parent. To a child that's here with you, a child that you love, to a child that may no longer be here. Be good to yourself. Be safe in your thoughts and your emotions. Be careful with how you treat yourself, because you are only as good to others as you are to yourself. It's okay to forgive yourself. And it's okay to love yourself outside of what you may be telling yourself. And it's important to have community. It's very important. So this is my goal, is to partner with some companies that I have in mind. Can't tell y'all about that yet, but just be on the lookout for me. Trust me. And I want to help develop community for people who need community. Yeah.
That community is important.
Mm-hmm.
We share the fact that we lost a kid. So I lost mine May 29th. It'll be 20 years at the end of this year. And what's interesting, appreciate that. What interesting is, every May 29th, you think that it would get easier, and still never gets easier. You always think about it. It's always something that's just in the back of your mind, whatever that trigger is. Are there any triggers for you when it comes to Zion? Something that besides seeing maybe an elephant or besides seeing a balloon, is there anything that still triggers you that when you see it, it immediately hits?
Every time I see my face. Every day. There's nothing that escapes that. What would he have said to me? What conversations we would have had? What would happen when he graduated? But just like a thought is a thought. Like a negative thought can come in your head. And you have to understand how powerful you are. So that negative thought came in your head. That means a positive thought could come in your head, because a thought is a thought. You gave it the power to be negative or positive, right? So with a trigger, you could give it the power to be negative or positive. So if I see an elephant, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be ecstatic. If I see a balloon, I'm going to be overjoyed. I'm going to be in a space where I'm making this young man, he would be proud of me. And I'm making myself proud of me, because he would want me to be proud of myself, right? So if I see someone with their child, it doesn't make me sad. It doesn't. It has in the past, when I was holding a secret, especially the first few years. But it doesn't make me sad to see someone love their child unless they're doing something that's not healthy for a child. That triggers me. If you don't treat children well or people well, I'm not the happiest person. But other than that, if something comes up and it wants to take over my thoughts to make it, and this took a lot of work to get here, a lot, to not go into a place where I feel like it is crippling me. But then I said to myself, if you can allow something to cripple you, you can also allow it to bloom you, to birth you, to make you excited, to bring you joy, to all the things. You have to learn how to work on that. So it didn't happen overnight, but I set intentions every day to work on that. to make sure I'm aware. Like, why are you feeling this way? Why are you in this space? Why is this? Why are you making this be something that you can't celebrate? And so, like now, I like to celebrate real good. My sister-in-law told me, I'm like, she's like, you are like a hype man. What is going on? I'll be so excited. I'll be like, oh my God, you got a life. You got a life. God bless you. I'll be excited. I'm happy for people. We're here, alive. You know, I mean, do something. You know, to just commemorate who you are as a person and what you could have gave to whoever is may no longer be here. Like, I have so much love that I've received in my life. Who am I to just throw it away because I can't love in the physical manifestation? But I have the love in me, so I need to put it out. It doesn't have to be on reserve, you know, right? So, but that took a lot of soul work. It took a lot of trauma therapy. When your therapist tells you that they're doing this therapy on you, and usually they bring people back down to a 1, but you can only come back to a 5 because of the amount of trauma that you have in your life. I have to respect that I am a survivor, that I have my right mind, because this is not my only trauma and my only grief and my only. But I don't label myself in what has happened to me. I live in the fact that I can be greater if I choose to. So I choose the greater. There is a greater Trevilia. Let's find out who that is. We already know the Trevilia, the abandoned, the neglected, the this, the, oh my God, this makes me tired. It's exhausting. You understand? But, you know, I had to go through that. Some things were out of my own hands and some things were not. But to give yourself the liberty to say, I want to really vibe with this person and get to know who he or she is, or however you identify yourself, I respect that. You know, do what you got to do to stay healthy mentally. And so I like this journey. Like, it's really good for me. I cry when I need to, and then I laugh a lot. And if I cry again, that's okay. Sometimes I'm crying because I'm laughing. It's a whole situation over there, July. You know, you've been there. Okay, come. You know me.
40 emotions right now. That's it. So I get it.
So yeah.
I have more questions. I do want to allow those in the audience, though, if you have something that you want to ask, if you read the book, or as we're talking and something is popping up in your head and you want to ask it. This is an open space. So does anyone have any questions about anything, whether it be the book or the experience?
I need at least like 2.
She's requesting 2.
I am requesting. Hey, social media.
See, I feel in my shondo that there, right? Or I knew it was over there.
Shondo.
I knew it was over there.
You got a shondo?
The shondo took place. Please, what was your question?
My question is, what motivated you to write this book?
What is the motivation for writing?
Besides Zion,
Okay.
what motivated you to tell your story and write the book?
What's your name?
Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. Y'all, for those who can't see Lisa, Lisa Sharp. Okay, Lisa walked up in here on a Saturday and said, "Hello, my name is Lisa."
Hello.
So the fact that we need to talk more, we need to have open conversation. It's so needed in every aspect of life, and because I was able to have conversations with people and I felt accepted and I felt seen, I wanted to put it in a space where maybe I could offer people the opportunity to have that through this book. So that was definitely a motivator for me. And also for a selfish aspect, because sometimes you have that too, right? I'm a very selfless person, but the selfish part of this for me was I needed to do something to honor my son. I did. And the mother that was in me that used to pine for that identity but was scared to tell people why I wanted it. I was afraid. Does that make sense? So even though I was keeping a secret and it was like, my goodness, you know, and going through all the aspects of that, I had to put something in the atmosphere for me in that way. So That's why. Yeah.
That's good. Can you give your name and your question?
Okay.
That's Stacey
Hi,
Ann.
my name is Stacey.
Okay, jumpsuit.
Ann.
Social media, y'all missing out. Y'all should have been here.
So my question is, what are you hoping children and mothers will take away from this book? And for the mothers that have raised children that are not their own, what will you hope to teach them?
So I want people to realize that there's different ways to mother, and there's different ways that you can parent. It doesn't always have to be because you have a natural born child that you parent, right? So shout out to all the people who've allowed me to help parent their children. I don't know why you chose me, but I'm good with it. I love it. But that's one, because even when you have your own child, I've seen parents have to parent in different ways for other people's children, not just my sister Betty. She got 5. She gave them kids too. She didn't just drop them off, she take them back, but we love the kids, my babies. I love y'all. And so I've seen parents who have children, multiple children, still parent in other aspects, right? I think that for those people that are still trying to have a child or may lost a child, they forget that you still can parent. So that's something. It may not be necessarily articulated in the book, but there's other things that's coming out that's going to talk about the extension of, right? Because I was, again, very careful what I put in this book because of the topic matter. So I didn't want to put too much in it. But it also will allow people to be in the aspect to realize that you still can parent if that's something that's in your heart. It doesn't have to be in just this one dimension of parenting. However, some people, that's all they want. And if that's the case, don't give up. Adoption is available. If having a child naturally may not be for you, adoption is. I have wonderful people that have adopted children and they're just as happy, So just don't give up on that dream that you want or that goal in life. And then if you lost a child and you're still trying to cope with that, grace is necessary. Give yourself grace. Give yourself the place in life. And if y'all see me moving, for those who don't know, I really damaged my hamstring, so social media, please forgive me for moving a lot. It's just I'm uncomfortable with the hamstring pull. But the grace is necessary to give yourself grace and forgiveness for however that happened, and then find that piece of you that wants to honor the child. That's very important too, because then it starts a process of healing for you that you can only describe because every loss is different. Loss is loss, but every loss is different, and I respect that. My loss is not someone else's loss, but we could sit down and have a conversation about loss. My loss shouldn't overshadow someone else's loss, and vice versa. And again, that's why I wrote the book the way I did, because people need to be okay with their story and how their story translated, and to talk about it and be in a space where you can talk about your story and the people who support you in doing that. So, does that answer your question?
It seems like there's so many stories you can tell with this book. So we're here at the point to where he receives the baby elephant, he's with the balloon, and it's beginning the journey of experiencing life without this brother or sister that he was going to have. Are you going to tell more stories with this family? Are there more books to come?
There are more books to come. I guess it's time to tell the announcement. Segue. I like you. You're all right.
Not do I.
So, the segue is a few years ago. I started, and it just is not illustrated yet. For those who illustrate, I love y'all. It's a labor of love, and I am not an illustrator. I'm a writer. But the time that I took to illustrate this book, and 3 illustrators later, Alana did an amazing job. She was very, very patient with me. And we spent a lot of man hours illustrating this book together. Again, like if you go on my social media, you'll see my tattoo does not look anything like these elephants. But I was very particular how I wanted them to translate. But a few years prior to this, I wrote a book called Kayla Finds the Good in Goodbye. And because my niece had to make her own journey of healing and peace when my mother passed away. And my niece called my mother Miss Grandma. So y'all probably already know who my mother was because she called her grandmother Miss Grandma. And I was gonna actually debut that book, but because I have to honor my son, I chose to do this book first, and then Kayla, the book with Kayla will probably be out next year because there's other things that are coming as well. So with that being said, if everybody want to go to Instagram, I was just go to Instagram today. It's not, and if you go to Instagram and find a Instagram page, if you're on Instagram, replace loss with love. Please follow me. So my brand, I have people tell me a lot of times, you launch a lot of stuff, you do a lot of stuff. Like, okay, help me understand this, right? So Ashley behind the scenes know a lot, and what I have done is I'm cultivating a community called Replace Loss with Love through different mediums that I like because I'm a writer, playwright, filmmaker, author. Through the various mediums that I love, we're going to put different facets of mediums out to help people cope with loss. So I have the book that's going to be under this brand, the books with an S. Then there will be e-courses available as well. I already have one e-course out, You versus You. But the next e-course that's coming is I Once Was Lost, and it's with an e-book and an e-course. And Ashley says she watched it 5 times. And that is such a compliment because she edited the e-course. And for your editor to then say they watched this e-course 5 times, it's powerful. And that was a huge compliment to me. And there is a podcast that's going to be dropping tomorrow. And the podcast is also called Replace Loss with Love. So everything that I do moving forward will be under this brand. And I believe that one of the goals of my life is to teach people how to cope with loss. I've experienced a lot of loss. I don't know anybody who would say I do loss well. I don't. But the fact that I am still standing and that I have my right mind, I definitely have my joy. I have my peace. I have love for people. I have love for myself. I have more love for myself than I've ever had in my life. I wanted to do something with that and not just be the girl who had all this loss in her life, but the woman who can cultivate community because of the community that I have had. So for me, I may not be able to be with you in your living room all the time or sit with you and, maybe I'll be at a conference that you would be at one day or other conversations like this or another book launch. But for me, I would love for you, if you follow me, I would love for you to utilize whatever tool appeals to you. So this is why there's different mediums, because not everybody wants to read a book, but everybody might want to do an e-course, somebody might want to come to a play, or someone may watch one of our films that's coming out. And so I get to dabble in all of the creative spaces that I love by doing this because I love to create. So I don't have to limit myself to, I'm going to write. And that's all I'm going to do for the rest of my life, And I love that for me because it was this journey that got me here. It was the last 3 years that got me to a place to see that I could do this in this avenue.
So we've got the books that are about to be released. Mm-hmm. You've got the Replace Loss with Love on all the various channels.
It's on YouTube and Instagram today. We will be on TikTok, but it's on YouTube and Instagram. And so under Replace Loss with Love on YouTube, you'll get the visual of the podcast, and then it will be on all podcast platforms. But anything under Loss with Love is my brand. And then on our Instagram and on TikTok, I'll eventually be on TikTok. I just didn't decide if I wanted to grow a community on TikTok, not knowing if we're going to still have TikTok. So right now, I'm just doing YouTube and Instagram. So you can see whatever's coming out. But once the website is up, you'll be able to go to whatever avenue that you want to go to. If you want to go to an e-course, and I wanted it for the adults that may listen or watch the podcast. That if they wanted to take the I Once Was Lost e-course to do it. But I will say this: the podcast could be very triggering. So, not all episodes, but the first 3. Because the first 3 does tell my story of how I lost my son, our son, how we lost him. And so just be mindful. There'll be other, episodes to come and different conversations, but it can be very triggering. So please know, if you do watch it, to keep that in mind or ask someone else to watch it. We do say that in the beginning of it. And I also can announce that this podcast is so special. And for me, the first 3 episodes, and I had the pleasure of being interviewed. So it was a twist. Instead of me doing the interviewing, someone interviewed me because they felt like I should tell the story of it and let people be able to go there to hear it. So I don't have to continue to repeat it, but then also so people can understand that you can overcome tragedy, however that looks for you, and you can be stronger. So I had the wonderful pleasure of being interviewed by Selena Hill of Black Enterprises, and so I think you will enjoy it. I keep saying so a lot. That's the media person that be like, if you say so one more time. But Selena is really a force in the industry, and I'm very grateful to have had this opportunity with her and the other opportunities as well. And I just hope you enjoy the podcast. But we are dropping a lot tomorrow in the earth.
Pretty exciting, right?
It is exciting. It is. It's very, it's new for me because I can be extremely private. But
You are out there now.
out
and as
there,
this book takes off, you're going to be more and more out there, and more people knowing your name and knowing your face and
yes.
your entire history. Is that a little bit Are you a little bit nervous about that, or is it at the point now where you're like, you know what, we're here?
I don't live in my history, so that's cool. I mean, I live in the present. So if I don't live there, so that's like if people, they'll hear my history like, oh my goodness. And if that's where you want to stay, that's all right. But just know I'm not there. So, if you want to just leave me in that space, that's okay. But there's a lot of other me that you would want to get to know. So, I'm not worried about it. We live in a culture where we live in a cancel culture, but just don't cancel yourself. Like, people, let them have their opinion. It's okay. Somebody might want to cancel me now because they're like, who do you think you ought to write about a children's book? And I can say, well, who are you not to write one? Write your own book. It's okay. Do your thing. I'll support you. I'll be out there like, okay, let's go. But it's that doesn't bother me. I've survived so much, trust me. That's small.
So did you want to share now what's the biggest thing that you've done, the most salacious, so that we can just get it out of the way right now? Break news, the most salacious thing you've ever done. Just tell a lot of people, you know what, don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm not gonna do that. Don't we love Javon? I'm not gonna. He knows I'm not gonna do that. That's why he knows I'm not.
The Baby Elephant with the Blue Balloon, the Symbol of Love,
Yeah.
By you, Ms. Trevilia Hodge, is available right now. For those who want to get it, how do they go about purchasing this?
Amazon. It's the easiest way. Amazon. So, and also here, there'll be several books here at the Doc Bookshop if you want to stop by, and they are signed. We will be here until 3. if you're in the area and you want to come over. But there will be 5 books here, and if they need more, I'll provide more. There will be in other bookstores eventually in the DFW as well, because next month I plan on doing another event. And but right now it's on Amazon on paperback. Hardcovers are coming out in June. But if you follow Replace Loss with Love, all the information will be available for you. It's just easier than having multiple websites as well. So all the things and all the changes. But we also have a puzzle that's coming. Let me see the puzzle. So this is the puzzle.
Woo.
And I'm excited about this puzzle because it came out so cute.
Yes.
I was like, oh, so cute. But I love it because you can have your own elephant with the blue balloon in your house, right? With the puzzle. And if you decide you want to take the puzzle and frame it, or if you want to take the puzzle and put it together and then put it away and then come back when you need to and put it together again, you can, it's your ability to flow how you need to. But I just wanted to make sure if someone wanted an elephant with a blue balloon that they would have theirs. So if you follow me on Replace Loss with Love, you will see that when these puzzles come out or available for pre-order soon, you can order one, and you can order one for someone who may need it. And I just think that's another way. And then because stuffed animals get lost and things like that, I went through a number of things to do. I didn't think a coloring book would be the healthiest because I don't want a child coloring in that for that period of time. That's just me when I think about the social emotional learning aspect of it. So I thought this was a brilliant way and a symbolic way of putting the pieces back together. However that may look for you. I'm deep.
That was nice.
You see how I did it? You see how I
so we
did
would have
that?
guessed that right away. I was, ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Pieces back.
Yeah.
Right, put the pieces up.
Man, you felt that? You see, y'all be talking to me. I'm trying to tell y'all I've done some things. So what y'all need to know? That's so that in of itself is what I wanted to do. So this is another aspect that is coming, and yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And then for you, if people want to get in touch with you, they want to contact you, they want to write you and tell you all about their life and their journey, what are the ways that they can find you on social media?
Replace Loss with Love. We're going to make it real easy because my name is kind of, to spell it, I don't know what they was thinking about when they named me, but it's cute. We'll go with it. But literally, you can definitely inbox me there. No, right now, I do have a team that's growing, but I am one person. So you can do that, but you can always just replace Loss with Love. I think that's the easiest way. Because once you see the website, it'll be up we'll be attached to all social media very soon, and then you can contact us there. Email address is love info now at Gmail. So LOVEINFO now at Gmail. So that's an email address if you want to email me. But that would be the best thing. Is Replace Loss with Love. I am on all social medias under the Baldhead Baddie with an I. But if you want to just talk about this in the simplest way, do that.
You can also call her at 945-30.
Javon will always answer and give me the message and let me know what you said, and I'll get back to you. But if you don't get through right away, know that it's Javon and it's not me.
JEBON. No. All right. So before we go, what is the last thing you would like to share with our audience here in person or virtually about your journey or the book? What would you like to leave with them before we go? Any final message or word of love?
Yeah. Treat love good. We treat love real bad. We do. We put other people's emphasis on how they show love to us. And that's how we define it. But love should not have a definition. It should be fluid. That's just how I feel. Love could show up however it needs to in your life every day if you let it. So treat it good, and that will allow you to treat yourself good and give yourself grace. Because when you take the definition off that, as we do so often, we just give that such a tough definition of how it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to come, when it's supposed to come, how I'm supposed to manipulate it. It becomes a journey, and it becomes uh, sometimes you don't even want to deal with it. But if I had to say anything, do that. Repurpose how you define it by taking the definition off of love, and give yourself grace every day, sometime throughout the day. Tell yourself throughout the day that you're going to give yourself grace. Then show yourself grace. Put some action behind it. And allow yourself to give other people grace as well. Be present for yourself all the time. And I say one thing in the podcast that I really liked was about your history. It's interesting you said that. My past is like a book for me. It's on the shelf. I don't have to take it with me. But if I need to go back and reference it, I can take that book off the shelf. I can reference it, and I can put it back where it belongs, on the shelf. Because I read it, because I lived it, and I wrote it. And a lot of times we take our past and we let it stay with us. And it stays with us to the point to where we literally don't know what to do with ourselves because we are so hung on our past. But if I could give you that visual for the rest of your life, is to remember that past is the book on the shelf for you. Only reference it. Books carry weight, especially if they're thick novels, and some of us have trilogies. So if you have a bunch of books on your back, it gets heavier and heavier. But that's why people make bookshelves. You got one, let's put it up there. And then figure out what this book looks like. Figure out what this chapter looks like. Sometimes figure out what this moment looks like. Figure out what this day looks like. Be in that. And then get up the next day and do it again. If you get up in the morning and the negative thoughts try to flood you, tell it to stop. Just as much as you let it in, you can tell it to stop. You can literally take 5 seconds. You got 5 seconds to say, I'm grateful for everything. And when you hear my story, it is tragic. I'm telling you, it is. Some of y'all are going to be shocked. I forgave. So please take that with you. When you listen to the podcast, you're going to be like, how did she, what? I forgave. So please know that forgiveness is such a beautiful lifesaver. Thank you, God. And we overlook it a lot because we want to be mad. And don't nobody know you mad. For real. Especially if you ain't talking to somebody. Nobody really know you mad. You over here mad. What you mad at? That you're not even having a conversation with the person you mad at. And they probably forgot. For real, like, you know. Or then you keep living it over and over again. And you could be doing other things, but you're too busy being mad, or you're too busy living in unforgiveness. And unforgiveness is truly a gift. Like, it is a gift. When I tell you that, I mean that. It will save your life. It saved mine. It kept my mental health. And so when you do listen to this podcast, please, please, please know that I forgave my son's father. I'm going to leave you with that. It might be a cliffhanger, but I need y'all to know this. When you hear it, and you may want to ask, what did she? I forgave him. I did. And when I say I believed him, I did. And when I say that I love him and I still have love in my heart for him, I do. So just know when you hear my story that yes, I did forgive him. And I believe that's why I'm able to be who I am today for myself and for so many people. So take that with you and keep that in your heart and make peace. So when you do make peace, your final peace, you can leave here in peace. Because I'm going to be happy. I'm happy with me. My God, it took a long time for me to say that. A lot of crying, a lot of things, a lot of praying. A lot of people in this room that are here today know the backstory. This was not a overnight thing. But for me, for the rest of my life, it's an every moment choice. And so I have to leave you with that. And before I let Javon end, I have to thank so many people in this room. And so I can't now call people out because I don't want to forget somebody like the people at the church, and then they be like, you said we were almost done. I'm not a pastor, so let me tell you how I'm about to wrap this up. So I want to just thank every person who has been there for me, who has been there for me even when they didn't understand how I had to be there for me, for every person who prayed for me, for every person who has stood by me, showed up for me, for every person who had to forgive me, for every person who had to make space for me to be in a space that I could learn to show up for myself and push me to do so. Thank you for, even like Ashley this week, thank you, because you didn't have to do that for me. How you just, if I touch you, or she would just respond. Thank you for every person who has reached out to me and, said, Trav, are you good? You okay? And thank you for every person who gave me opportunity to listen to me on a Mother's Day weekend of a mother who had to learn how to mother differently. Thank you for every father who had to learn how to father differently. And so, and thank you for making space for this time in your day, because you didn't have to do that. Thank you for every person that's still on social media. And thank you in advance to every person who wants to come into my life or meet me or be a part of the community of Replace Loss with Love. And thank you for every person who taught me lessons, even in the form of pain. Every person. Because I would not be this wonderful, self-loving human if I didn't learn to forgive you. And if I did not learn to stand on my own 2 feet. And if I did not learn grace. And that's why I could speak grace. Because I had to live it out. I had to learn forgiveness because I had to live it out. I'm not just saying it because it sounds good and it's a cliche. Thank you for every person that's going to read the other books that's coming out. And I just appreciate your time. And God bless you, and be good to yourself today and tomorrow and the next day, and keep going all the days. But let me find out you're not being good to yourself. I'm from New Jersey. You're a little crazy. Okay? I live in Dallas, but I'm from New Jersey. Exit 9. I love y'all. All right. That's all I got.
All right. Make sure you guys go purchase the book. She's going to be signing